Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the tavern. It has been a tumultuous couple of days for you tavern folk trying to get these things to work. Uh, the cameras were fighting with me a bit, but hello, Matty is half dead today. Well, that means you're half alive, so that's half good news. Quirt, Bear, hello, everyone. Let's see. Kirk came in, said we're going to need to get some on-theme star stickers. You know, I didn't even know that we could do. Can I make custom stickers for Facebook? I didn't know I could do that. If I can, that's wonderful. Steve, you said, where are you located? I would like to invite you to my meat hole this fall in Tennessee. Uh, the lady and I are actually located out on the west coast of the United States, so I'm in the same country, but we're almost on opposite coasts. We're gonna skip that song because it's odd. All right. But hello, my friends. Let's see. We have Kemians, we have Bethany, we have Milo, we have Quirt, we have the Bear, we have Tyson. We have Mushu. Hello, good to see you, my friend. We've got Bethany. We've got Teresa. Welcome, friends. Good to see you all. I sure hope so, but I might be thinking more in terms of YouTube. Yeah, I'll have to look into it. I hadn't even thought about it because Facebook is so inflexible with everything. I hadn't even thought to check about it, but I'll look into it because we do have like little custom emotes and badges and things over on the Twitch portal and over on the TikTok one. So I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be able to get some of those or some unique ones over on Facebook. Ace, hello. Did I hear someone say waffles? Do you have syrup, sausage, bacon, gravy, all the fixins? All the fixins. Couldn't be any other way. You know, it's funny that you bring that up. Casey, hello. Good to see you. Welcome in. Kemian, thank you for the 10 months over on Twitch. Tips to the Tavern Keeper, always appreciated, my friend. Enjoy your Yule log. I'm gonna be evil. I'm gonna be evil to Boo and Milo. Oh, you want me to grab the kitty cats? I'll go find one of them for you. Give me just a second, Matty. You know, Ace, it's interesting that you bring that up because we made Southern style spicy sausage gravy and fresh made biscuits the other day. Casey, thank you for becoming a member over on the Facebook or on the YouTube portal. Enjoy your eggnog. Well, it's more likely I can flex to Twitch than any of us move the Sisyphean stone on Facebook. It's true. It's true. They are so ridiculously complicated with the way that they have their entire system set up. And it's sad for me because one of our largest audience, like one of the largest tavern audiences, is on Facebook. There are over 100,000 of you on Facebook who come in, and you know over a million views come in through Facebook every month. And it's sad to me that the platform is so hard to work with because I would love to do more for that audience, but it's just so hard to get anything done. I have to be careful with what music I use. We used a clip from Lord of the Rings, and it was perfectly legal to use. We were fine for using it, and because of the way that their system works, Facebook made it so we couldn't upload any stories for 4 days. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. Tyson, thank you for the resub, my friend. Enjoy your Yule log. We've only got about another 20 days of Yule logs left, so. My wife has a keto-friendly sausage gravy. It's actually pretty good. What is keto? Like, I've heard of it before, and as a guy who does spend time at the gym, I should probably know this. But I've always just eaten meat. Like, I've never had any kind of special diet. Most of what my family eats, like, it's like 70% meat and then we've got some root vegetables and vegetables and fruits in there, but like very minimal fruit and things like that. I think my Fitbit is getting tired. What happened? No doubt I found you there and shared from there. Somehow I doubt even the she could lawyer meta. Mab has nothing on Zion Emmanuel. Yeah, we've, because like again, like I said, I think Facebook is our biggest audience. Yeah, Facebook is our biggest audience, and then YouTube and TikTok are the next biggest ones. And TikTok is a bit of a bastard to work with, but even with how strict YouTube is, nowhere near as difficult as working with anything that has to do with Facebook or Instagram. And we're relatively family friendly. I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm 100%. That there's nothing. Uh, what's the word? That there's nothing edgy about me because I swear and it's not exactly like my opinions are popular ones or the stories and perspectives I present are popular ones, but there's nothing overwhelmingly controversial about what I do, and still I get grief from Facebook on a relatively regular basis. 2 days in a row, it's fully charged and it just shuts down. I've recently had that same thing happening with my headphones, Milu. When electronics get a little bit old, sometimes they just stop working. It's low carb, high protein. I love that. I love that. I don't eat a whole lot of bread. The most bread I ever eat is on pizza. I try, and because it's not even necessarily, because I've had a few people say that like this is their safe space, and it's not even necessarily about making it safe as much as it is making it enjoyable. I don't mind if we have hard conversations and we talk about difficult topics, but I want it to be an enjoyable experience. I want people to leave the conversations feeling like they got something positive out of it. I hate Amazon. I tried accessing it 2 months ago, and the email to verify it was me, and they just didn't want to do it. The odd naughty word pops out. Yeah, on occasion we'll throw a naughty word here and there. Butterbeer time doth next is my friend. Hello, good to see you. Thank you for the rose. Tips to the tavern keeper always appreciated, my friend. But I like this one. I get so attached to my electronics. I get attached to everything. I'm a sentimental old bastard. It's hard for me not to get attached to things. Attached to all of you. I'm fond of all of you. 2 months. That email when Matty, you gotta help me out here, brother. That email win the other for 2 months. What are you saying here? You're a writer, mate. You gotta do better for me than this. What are you saying? Yeah, planned obsolescence is one of the worst things to ever happen to the world. Tyson, you said after doing a quick search on high fat, low carbohydrate, modern protein eating plan designed to force the body into a metabolic state called ketosis. I'm familiar with ketosis by drastically reducing the carb intake, typically under 50 grams per day, and body burns fat for fuel instead of glucose, and often results in weight loss, improved blood sugar control, and increased energy. Yeah, I see. Because I eat primarily protein, so my body on the weeks when I don't have much sugar, uh, I sweat a lot because my body is none of you needed to hear that, but I'm sure it's too much information for everybody. But it's because my body is in ketosis because I haven't had a whole lot of sugar or carbs that can get turned into sugar in the body, and it's because I primarily eat protein and fiber. So I'm pretty sure I still have an Xbox from '03 in my closet somewhere. I still have my Xbox 360, but I'm sure it doesn't work anymore. Uh, was in the ether, maybe, perhaps. That might be what he said. 2 months. That email was in the. Oh. So there should be an A there. So the ether for 2 months. I see what you're saying. No. All right, I get it. Until something more apropos come along, a coin for the keeper. Kirk, thank you kindly, my friend. 20. You're being very generous. Thank you kindly for the tips to the tavern keeper. 420 stars, creating astrological events over the tavern. Tips to the tavern keeper always appreciated, my friend. Thank you so much. By the hammer, they can't even get the amount right. They do often do that. Steve, you said, I believe your content is perfect, hence why I keep coming back. Well, thank you, Steve. I appreciate you. I mean, my goal has always been with the tavern. Like, I don't expect everybody to agree with me. I have wonderful debates with folks in the tavern all the time on different topics and my perspective on them, on the historical perspective, the philosophical perspective, and I very much enjoy those conversations. And I don't ever want anybody to think that I'm expressing myself as being some sort of absolute authority. I love talking about these things, and there's no certainty in history. Now, I will always defer to what evidence there is in my own experiences, because that's the best way to have a conversation. But there's been a few times when I've had folks present to me, like we did the tier story a while back, and I had a couple of people point out they're like, oh well, before Seti was the overseer of the court. That's 100% true, and I probably should have brought that up in the story. But I was more focused on having a clever Tuesday story time. So Tuesday, clever Tuesday story time, and I didn't even think of it. So obviously, I'm not necessarily wrong in that instance, but it was an omission, and it's something that would have made the story more accurate and given it more heft to a degree. See, I like the idea of keto, but I heard mixed things in fruits. I've been told they are carbs, but they also aren't. Not willing to not eat fruit. So some fruit counts as carbs. It depends on the sugar content of the fruit. Like if you're eating citrus is pretty much overwhelmingly sugar. So you have to be very careful about the sugar content of the fruit, because your body can take in a small amount of sugar, but if you put too much sugar in your body will leave ketosis. I can relate to being T1D. What is this, Al? What is T1D? I'm not sure that I know what that is. Is this going to be a joke where you say T1D my face or something? Oh, type 1 diabetic. Thank you, Molly. Okay. that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. I thought it was a setup for a joke. You're a writer, you got this, Castle says to the plague bearer. I mean, if there's something you should be able to do while having the plague, it's right, I would presume. It's what you do more than almost anything else. I'm also still waiting until 2035, my Hogwarts Legacy game arrives there. What? You have a delivery date of 2035? That's insane, Marty. Yeah, there are some fruits that have very low sugar content, and your body can take in a certain amount of sugar. What's going on here? Welcome in. Hello, good to see you. We are probably going to do story time. I haven't quite decided yet. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think we are going to do story time. Every time I get a glimpse of the chair, I think it's probably just super hot after a while. It is very hot. I am sweltering. The air conditioner is on, and I foolishly double layered. I have two heavier shirts on, so I will probably die at some point during this story time. Well, the pre-order, that's insane. Better to feed that sugar to yeast. I would, you know, it certainly could be. It depends on how good your recipe is. Hey, so talk. I don't know why the ads are running. The ads should not be running. It's not terribly late. It's only 8 o'clock. Probably get through one chapter tonight. Well, most of the regulars are in. I think that Destiny isn't in, but she's been sort of hit or miss since their schedule's been messed up. Are we missing? Are you guys have to check me on that? Are there any regulars who normally like to be here for Harry Potter that we're missing? Frost is on. Well, that's true. Frost is not here. Let me see how long this next chapter of Harry Potter that we have is. We'll see if it will be, because we really do need to get trucking on this book. Let's see, 63. Yeah, this chapter's only 10 pages. We could definitely do this one in a relatively quick manner, I think. Alright, guys, give me just a second. We're going to do 3 minutes of ads real quick, because for some reason pre-rolls are on, and they should not be. It might be because we didn't run any ads at all on Thursday when everything crashed. That might be the reason. So we're going to run 3 minutes of ads real quick. That'll give us an hour without them. Good evening, first time stream. Your videos came up on my FY page on Facebook, and I was instantly intrigued. Your voice was epic. Well, Shadow Angel, welcome in. We're very glad to have you. I hope that you enjoy your stay here. I am Castle, this is my tavern, and here we talk about myth and lore and tales of yore, and every now and again I read you all a story. Tonight is normally when the lady of the tavern reads, but she's working on another project at the moment, so I am filling in for her. We put out new stories every single day, or at least we try to, and we do longer stories every couple of weeks, trying to get to once a week with that, because we like to do some of the longer ones. And then we also do these 3 times a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Most weeks we had some magic box trouble this week. And you have entered into a tavern at the end of the world where all stories eventually come to rest. And we welcome you. You can feel free to mingle with the other regulars. They're all lovely folk. And if you need anything, you can grab somebody with a sword and they will help you out. Joker, hello my friend, good to see you. Welcome in. So very glad you could join us. Hang on, there was a question. Just curious, would like to know what you think of religious beliefs being geographical in nature, i.e. Celtic pagans of Scotland. Okay, so I don't typically talk about religion, but there's actually a good question in regards to it. Mitch, hello, welcome in. Good to see you as well. Steve, give me just a second. I'm going to respond to these other notes real quick, and then I'll come to your question. And actually, let's go ahead. While I'm responding there, I'm going to run ads over on Twitch so that we can get past it. Shadow Angel, welcome in. I'm sorry you're going to get dropped into ads immediately, but we're trying to make it so you guys don't have to be stuck in them when important things are going on. We'll be right back. 3 minutes, friends. I appreciate you for sitting through them. Once upon a time, I misread a recipe that made raspberry wine that had 4 times the alcohol I'd planned, so I added neutral spirits and ended up with a raspberry porter 70 proof. That's something. I used champagne yeast and entirely too much sugar. That sounds like it. So, one of the big things that I point out to folk when they ask me about traditional religion, as far as how it goes historically, is most religious aspects center around a singular person, right? And I don't mean like a god or a being or a deity. It's usually like a king or a chieftain or an influential figure. So on occasion you'll get like the oracle at Delphi. You get figures that have a charismatic and grandiose figure or ambiance to them, and this will usually lead to the rise of some sort of structured religion. Religion as we know it today did not really exist within the Celtic and Nordic pagan groups as like a universal structure. So you don't see anything in in Celtic or Norse or even really most Germanic areas that is anything like Buddhism or Christianity. And it's because there was no central mythos or central understood figure. Most of what we get from Germanic and Nordic and Celtic groups has to do with what some people would call animism. I don't like that term, but some people call it animism. Lord Godric, hello, welcome in. So very glad you could join us. Thank you for the follow. You have marked the tavern on your map. You should be able to find your way back the next time you seek a story. I don't even know if you can hear me because we're in an ad. So we'll keep going. So when you look at areas like Ireland or Scotland or even parts of Norway, the only time we see any sort of formal organized religion is like the Temple of Uppsala, right? Which most of that was centered around chieftains, the control of goods, the dispersal of meat, and so on. Not where I come from, Matty. It's Delphi. I pronounce it like an Irishman. So when we look at, I'm just messing with you, Matty. Yeah, I know that section at the like it's Thermopylae. You're right. Like it's not Thermopylae. It's Thermopylae. Um, but culturally, when you look at most of what we had that could be considered religious from old Celtic, old Germanic, even old Nordic groups, most of it was like everyday practice, right? Like what one might call everyday spiritualism, if you wanted to call it anything. What we would refer to today mostly as like folk belief, right? It's like don't pick up a penny when it's face down in America is a big one. Um, don't. I'm trying to think of another like really prominent one. Knock on wood, right? Knock on wood is another very good one that has made its rounds. There are not a great many structured religions as we understand religion, right? Like there wasn't a central form of worship, there wasn't like a credo, there wasn't a central figure. Most of what we see, and one of my big griefs with history and archaeology is that they love to exaggerate based on limited data because it helps them to get more funding to go and explore the thing. And they will often hear those things and go, oh, well, that's really what happened. It's mostly guesses. Like, most of it is educated guessing. And it's still important. I don't want to, like, take away from the credibility of it. But scientists and archaeologists and historians love to exaggerate. But most of what we would see in the spirituality of folks in places like Ireland and the Nordics and in the Germanic areas had to do with everyday spiritualism, traditional practices, honoring the land, honoring ancestors. What some would call forms of ancestral worship. That's what would be probably, if you had to pick a central religion for the Nordics, I would actually place them more firmly in the ancestral worship than I would in any sort of deical worship. Because if you look at the structure of Norse culture, it's about being as strong as possible. It's about honoring one's ancestors. It's about being not bowing to the gods, but being ranked amongst them as far as how great you are, being legendary and remembered forever, that sort of thing. So there's a lot that can be said about those different aspects. But if I had to put a fine pin on it, I would say that most of what came from spiritual beliefs came from local folk. Like, it had to do with the locality of where you were, where you came from, and what the everyday life was. So geographically, the geographic location was significant to that. And I just rambled a bunch, so I don't know if any of that made sense. Have you done any videos on St. Brandon? Irish, he was a voyager of some sort that sailed for 7 years from Ireland to the Promised Land, Newfoundland, and he found it, by the way. I have not done any videos on him. I have quite a few videos on saints, but every time I do a video on saints, I get a bunch of people who send me angry messages because I did a video about saints. Even when I did one on Saint Olga of Kiev, who was a Rus Viking, or her people were Rus Vikings, I should say. They were Rus barbarians. I got so many angry messages, so I try to intersperse them. I try to intersperse historical stuff that makes people upset. I try to break it up a little bit. My day was good. Good, Joker. I'm glad to hear it, my friend. It's always lovely to see you. Have not caught you in a long time, Mrs. Ash. Good to see you. Welcome in. Hilarious. I try. I do my best. Okay, hang on. I missed a bunch of messages, so I'm gonna scroll back up and respond to everybody. The Greek in me is rising, Castle. It'll do that. They call that the Zeus flow. Thanks. First time watching live stream, but I'm a follower on Facebook as well. I love your reels and your content is great. I just found out you were on Twitch and were live streaming. Usually I work nights, so I'm glad you're doing a Sunday night live. Yes, we do this most Sundays. I will usually be on for a little bit before the lady, and then the lady of the tavern, she will also get on and read to you all. So hers are typically a little less rambunctious. I tend to be very boisterous and very loud, and she tends to be much more mellow. So it's a nicer thing. Oh my goodness, Lamau, can't please everyone. I do, you most certainly can, and I don't try to, but I already get a lot of messages and comments, and occasionally I will do a historical video. Like, I did a video on Genghis Khan, right? And I don't do a whole lot of East or West Asian lore, just because it's so far off from the type of stuff that we normally do. Like, it's so far separated from our normal cultural content. And I got so many angry messages and comments about how I shouldn't be talking about Genghis Khan because Genghis Khan, sorry. Shouldn't be talking about Genghis Khan because he was a terrible person and he was a bastard and all of these other things. I'm like, guys, I'm not here to moralize backwards about the stories of people that came before me. I just tell the stories. It's up to you to decide whether or not you want to imitate Genghis Khan, alright? Good lord. Sorry, I've got a few rounds with Falcor about Greek pronunciation, so I had heard. But I can do a story of Saint Brandon, Bethany, if you'd like. His story is fascinating. When you find the time, well, when you have to find a balance between being at war with your environment and needing to survive, I think it really drives what you'll believe. If the very sky and air tries killing you for 4 months out of the year, I think humans need to find something to focus on and be angry at. Being angry at the sky is silly. Being angry at winter is less silly. Placating winter starts to make sense. Right, and that's very much like when you look at mythologies like Finland, right? Finland is an incredibly difficult place to live, even today with modern technology. Finland has a brutal environment. And a lot of the northern Nordic countries have brutal environments. And what's weird is occasionally you'll get something that's a little bit more whimsical, right? Like you'll get, like the Sami people have, out in Lapsland, have some really whimsical stories. But then you go to Finland and the Sami people have a little bit of an overlap to them. But Finland's mythology is really dark. Really dark, and it has some weird whimsical moments, right? Like part of the world being born out of an egg that fell into the sea is sort of whimsical. But then you have stories like of their underworld. Their underworld is one of the most gothic things that you could ever find. Tuonela is one of the most like dark and metal of all of the underworlds, and most vividly described as well. Ancestral worship has such a double meaning in my story. I mean, the gods in my story are called ancestors. Well, and that's one of the things that I point out to people with Norse mythology, is that if you look at the way a lot of these stories are written, they are not written in a form of reverence like this is an almighty, all-powerful, all-knowing deity. They're written as ancestral stories. Like if you read the story of like Alexander the Great, for instance, alongside the like if you were to structure and put a timeline to Odin's story, outside of the slaying of a primordial giant, right, and the little oddities here and there, the stories of Alexander the Great and Odin sort of like they have a lot of parallels to them in the way that they're structured. So Norse myth and sagas are structured more like ancestral stories, telling fantastical stories about your ancestor. You know, my uncle once caught a fish that was this big, sort of thing. Then they are the sort of high reverential stories that you find in things like the Torah and the Talmud and the Bible. It's a different form of storytelling. So, you know, I try not to talk about this too much because it upsets people, but this is just sort of the reality of how these stories are handed down. I had a pretty cool weekend Friday. I went bowling and had a friend over and we had some mead. Sounds like a hell of a weekend. I want the dark stories. See, I like to break up my stories. So I like to have some dark ones and then some light-hearted ones because a lot of stories from history are really dark. So it's hard not to have anything dark. But I try to end it with, some hopefulness. So you guys aren't walking around depressed all the time. Increasing sales for My Chemical Romance's older albums. Academia wants to structure in what they explore. It conflicts with how many people experience. Yeah, and that's one issue is that academia and science, it all has to happen in a lab, right? Like you can't really do these things out in the wide world, and it's really hard to consider all of the various factors that go into the existence of humanity. It's difficult to calculate all of that. So you do your best with what you have, and you do your best with calculated guesses and educated guesses, because that's really all academia is it's calculated and educated guesses. I don't know why my brain stopped working there. Looking to your mothers and fathers because they survived starts making a lot of sense, right? Absolutely, Kirk. Absolutely. Have you ever heard of Saint Godric? The name rings a bell. Couldn't tell you the story off the top of my head, though. Here, we'll bring it up, though. Oh, the Hermit! Yes. Well, if this is the one you're talking about. Saint Godric the Hermit. That's a story I haven't heard in ages. I'm trying to. Here's a patron saint of television. Don't remember her. There's a patron saint of television. Huh. Hey man, I hope you're doing well. Mark, good to see you, my friend. I'm so glad that you made it in. I am doing quite well. I spent about a week and a half down with the plague because I wasn't sleeping well, and then my poor little magic box started giving me all sorts of issues, and I've got most of them fixed. She's still fighting me on a few things, but we've got most of them fixed. Yeah, Saint Olga is an Orthodox saint. She was canonized 300 years ago, 300 years ago, something like that. Because she was responsible for the conversion of a massive group of Rus Vikings to Christianity. So she was canonized some years later because she has a very brutal history. And I've told a couple of her stories before. And then she was canonized after a certain point. Una tends to tease me relentlessly. I'm about to give up Englishing today. You should be resting, Matty, if you have the plague. You should be resting. If you get your name in the history books, especially military history books, you are probably a bastard of some sort. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that there's this old story that my grandfather tells about the price of immortality, and it goes talking about essentially the cost of immortality is your soul, right? Like generally you'll see that in what did I do? How did I do that? All right, oops. You'll see the the cost of immortality is your soul in a lot of things, but the reality is that you have to do great and terrible things in order to be remembered by history. And that sacrifice that you make is how your name becomes relatively immortal. So it's, sort of up to you if you want to be remembered in such a way. That'd be cool. Someone would need to let me know when it's out. I only randomly come across your shorts. That's all right, Bethany. All of them pop up in the guild. So every new one that comes out is in the guild. They get posted to YouTube. Jessica, hello, good to see you. Welcome in. Curious off-topic question: have you ever gotten into Legos? Are we talking about a Greek city or the building blocks? I used to love Legos. Legos are amazing. Buys My Chemical Romance album for my emo phase. So only one of us is getting to have a glitchy brain day, hopefully. I could do a story on St. Godric if you'd like. Oh my god, the other day we were moving KSK with MCR and other emo music, and there were KSK. What is KSK? I feel like I should know that. Only popping in late because work is cancelled tomorrow. Wonderful. We're gonna do a little bit of reading tonight. The schedule's all messed up because of things. Oh, Killshot Kitty. Yeah, I was like, why do I know that? Yeah, obviously I should know that. I should know my friend of many years, over 20 years at this point. Another emo music, we were typing lines in the chat and she was saying them. My background is in applied anthropology. It's a very delicate balance, to be honest, and provide meaning when others don't have a good reference point. Yeah, and archaeology is an incredibly difficult field to be in, because anything that you find historically, even if it's written down, so think of it this way. If you have something that's written down from 500 years ago, chances are it was written down from someone's perspective. Do you know what it was like living in the 1500s? No, you don't. And it would be very difficult for you to even imagine what it was like living in the 1500s. But you could imagine some semblance of it, right? Trying to figure out what the context of that thing written down was through the perspective of the person who wrote it, especially if it was about somebody who was not that person, is like looking at history through a pinhole, right? Because it's one person amongst thousands or millions writing down a perspective about other folks who were thousands and millions, right? It's like you get this all the time today where somebody will be like, oh, I don't like that group because that group is terrible and they always do terrible things. Or I disagree with this idea because this idea is terrible and it always has to do with terrible things. And it sort of flattens out any nuance in conversation that can be had around ideas and people and groups. And unfortunately, that happens a lot in history and archaeology as well. You end up looking at history through this little pinhole, and worse than it just being a pinhole is it's cocked sideways. So you're looking at the vast tapestry of history, which is as big or bigger than the sky, and you're doing it this way. So it's a very difficult job to be accurate and to be honest, and there's a lot of pressure in scientific and historical communities to make assumptions. Now, if you ever hear it from historians and archaeologists, they'll say, no, we don't make assumptions. But there's a huge amount of pressure in those communities, in those groups, to make those assumptions so that there can be a cohesive story and semi-cohesive conclusion that is made within the bounds of whatever story is being told. That is a major aspect of the pressure of academic research. And it's the way that you keep yourself funded. Sad to have missed the last few Harry Potter live nights, but I've been keeping up with the recordings. Wish I lived on the West Coast so I could stay up. I'm trying to get them moved earlier so that folks who are on the East Coast can join. My work schedule has been so crazy that I haven't been able to do it. We're supposed to start at 4:30. We haven't started at 4:30 almost ever, but we're supposed to. I'm a PC tech if you ever need help or whatever. I appreciate you, Mark. I got a Windows update and it corrupted one of my drives. The drive, thankfully, was an SD card. So but it was messing everything up. It took me forever to get it fixed. Saint Clair of Assisi is the patron saint of television. That's hilarious. That's got to be a British thing. That has to be English. And I hope you're feeling much better. Still not fully mended, but much better. Building blocks. Yes, yeah. My brother and I used to love Legos. I think there's a Saint Olga more recently canonized, something like that. I don't remember from absolute certainty, but I heard that a church some weeks back. Interesting. I'll have to look it up, Bethany. Yes, please. I would love to hear it told by you. Then I will send me a message. You can either whisper me or send me a message through the guild. But send me a message and I'll do my best to. Oh wow, that's really pretty. Where did this come from? The lady just got another new book, and it's one of Brandon. I've never read a Brandon Sanderson book, but apparently he's very good. You guys know this guy? He's an indie author. Brandon Sanderson. Yumi and Nightmare Painter, a Cosmere novel. But yeah, isn't that pretty? MCR and Linkin Park saved me from. I don't particularly. I like a few Michael McRomance songs, but Linkin Park is legendary. I've got no crosswords to say about Linkin Park. Linkin Park is one of the great like punk to emo bands of our generation. Guess what? I feel like Lego Greek City sounds like, what can I say to tease? There's a Greek city called Lagos, isn't there? I'm happy just being a small-time bladesmith in the Tennessee wilderness. I mean, if there's no real better place to do it. Did we get raided? I am so sorry, 24/7. I didn't see that come in. Welcome in, friends. Okay, well, I guess we're going to be reading here in a minute, but let's go ahead and give our friends from 24/7 a toot on the raid horn. Here we go. I was back behind. I was behind so much. I didn't see you come in. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. No worries, bound to happen. I hate being late, and I love to be on time. But I'm rarely on time and almost always late. It's so troublesome. Isn't it neat? Did we get a shout out for 24/7? Love the raid horn. Megan, welcome in. 24/7. Hello, welcome in. That's it. I don't know if you got a shout out, but we'll get you one. You should be the only one in here. What am I doing? Oh, here we go. No, I got this. There we go. Ugh. I don't know if I'll be keeping Discord past this month. I'm not uploading my face to government documents too. Yeah, which is fair enough. I know a lot of people will probably be abandoning it. I don't know what we're gonna do for a community after that, because obviously we lost the guild and all of that, so we just have to figure it out. I never thought someone I didn't know would hit that hard. I didn't think it was possible. Oh, you guys talking about it. There's such a contextual disconnect, even being 100 years removed. Never mind a millennia or two. Even concepts we think we've surrounded, like what is a hero and what is good behavior, can be entirely different. It's very true. Very true. So 24/7, Megan and Sootyface. Hello and welcome in, my friends. I'm glad that you could join us. My brother said this is an amazing author. The Mistborn books are amazing. I have all of them upstairs. I was just teasing. But yes, I have all of his books upstairs. The lady has read them. I have not. But yeah, I guess this is his new Kickstarted project, and it's got a very pretty cover. I suppose it looks like the implication is that it is Asian, maybe Japanese or Chinese. I can't really tell from the art, but they have that traditional sort of Asian calligraphy brush, so it's got to be one of those. But yeah, it's got a very nice cover. Very nice cover. Love the raid horde. Well, I'm glad. Well, you guys are raiding in after all. You're such a troll. I love Brandy Sandy. Yeah, you know that classic indie author Brandy Sandy. Somebody want to give me an intro to Sanderson? I read one novel, Way of Kings, maybe, and put the knives away. I thought the writing was sophomoric. Again, I haven't read his work, so I wouldn't know. I know that him and Christopher Poloni are considered to be very similar style-wise, and Patrick Rothfuss is another one who he's often compared to. I couldn't tell you another way because I haven't read any of his books. But I didn't even know who he was until I met my wife, and she told me about him. And I've had folks asking me over and over again to read his books, and I haven't. I really want special editions of the Mistborn books. Mistborn is a good starter, but yeah, Way of Kings apparently is really dense, from my understanding. A lot of people recommend you start the Cosmere with Mistborn, because Mistborn is much more palatable than the others.
I like the version there. I like the artist that did the cover. Same with that one, which is why I decided to get it.
I got a hole in my chin. I just spilled water all over myself. Like a child. What did I do? I filled my cup too much and it spilled on me. Okay, I walked into that, but Rothfuss, really? Every word must be flawlessly correct, Rothfuss. I'm just saying, like, these are authors that people tell me are similar to Sanderson. I read some of Rothfuss, but I've not read any Sanderson, so I have no starting point for Sanderson's work. The Wane and Wax quad of a book from Brando Sando is a lot of fun. Douglas, hello, Bello, and good evening. Good to see you. Mistborn are some of my favorites of all times, but the Mistborn Era 2 and Wax and Wane are so funny. Literally 24/7, just that's interesting. So it seems to be a fairly substantiated opinion. Having a wife will certainly introduce you to many new things, yes. Look, fortunately for us, we like many of the same things, and we have a lot of shared interest. So the two of us are never bored with one another, and we don't bicker over things. Things that I enjoy, she tends to enjoy, and so on. No. I have no frame of reference for Brandon Sanderson because I've not read a single word of his work. Now, I did watch his lectures after people were telling me how amazing he was. I did watch his lecture on how to write a fantasy novel. I don't necessarily agree with how he writes, but I'm also not a multi-millionaire, multi-published, world-acclaimed author, so...
He puts out a lot of books. It took him 10 books before something kicked off, so...
Yeah.
He writes very fast.
Yes. I write very slow, on the other hand. I've been working on the same novel or the same novel series, I should say, for 22 years. So Sanderson was a student of Robert Jordan. Robert Jordan? Who is Robert Jordan? Robert Jordan. Oh, The Eye of the World and Dragon Reborn. Yes. Oh, I haven't read Robert Jordan in forever. Robert Jordan is very old. 30 years. 36 years old was when I think his first novel was published. Wow. Yeah, his first couple novels were published in 1990. In the 19th century. Wait, is Robert Jordan the Wheel of Time? I didn't know that Robert Jordan was Wheel of Time. Why didn't I know that? I've only read his older books. My dad had... Wait, is The Eye of the World is a Wheel of Time book? Why didn't I know that? I read Eye of the World and The Dragon Reborn back in the 90s. I did not know that they were... I did not know that that was the Wheel of Time series. Oh my god. I am so dumb sometimes. So start the Mistborn with the Taverns Collective Wisdom. That seems to be the inference, Kirk, yes. It's the same world as Mistborn, but several hundred years in the future. Right. That I had heard. Yes, you definitely should start with Mistborn and follow up with the Wax and Wayne collection. The entire collection of the Cosmere that my husband and I have read are enjoyable, and the character Easter eggs are entertaining. I did not realize that, like, again, I read those books back in the 90s. I did not realize they were the Wheel of Time series. Interesting. I really enjoyed Robert Jordan's books, but they're just such a slog, I'll never reread them. Fair enough. That's fair enough. Sanderson's first Wheel of Time series after... Finished the Wheel of Time series after... That I didn't know. I wasn't aware of the why, though. The 1800s was the 19th... Yeah, the 20th century. Sorry, you're correct, Bethany. Have you ever heard of the First Law trilogy? I have heard of Joe Abercrombie, but I've never read his work. David Gemmell is one of my favorite authors. We have a few recommendations from you from David Gemmell. Or Gemmell. I don't know how you say his last name. The complete series, plural, are available on Audible. The First Law series is also great. Castle, have you seen the DM on Discord I sent you? No, I didn't realize I had any DMs on Discord. I'll check it after I hop off. Marsha Brunner says, hello, I hope you are well. I am quite well, thank you for asking. I'm very glad that you could join us. I just finished the first Christopher Ruccio book. Book of the Sun Eater series. Has good promise, kind of Dune Red Rising feel. Interesting. The First Law trilogy is when you personally have your shit together, because it is not a path to happiness. Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh. There are some modern anime that are that way, where I'm like, look, the story and the world is interesting, but this is just sad, and I don't want to be sad, so I'm not gonna finish this. Fantastic characters, excellent writing, but my god, is it grim. Yeah, there are a few that are that way. The First Law trilogy is amazing, very, very dark, epic fantasy, but the dark humor. Well, and I think you have to have some humor in books like that, because if it's just gonna be a drag, like one of my biggest complaints, I don't know how many of you are anime fans in here, but anime or manga, like Japanese fiction. But like Attack on Titan is one of those things, right? Where it is this world that has been overrun by titans that eat people, and it's just nothing but dregs. Like there's an occasional comedic bit here and there where a captain is wearing a maid's uniform, or not a maid's uniform, but like wearing a cleaning apron, or where a lady or a girl steals a potato. Like there's a little bit of humor here and there, but for the most part, it is a drag. It is a drag because it is just sad. Sad, 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 little bit of hope, sad, 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 little bit of hope, sad, 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 little... And it's just to the point that where you're like, well, I didn't die today, so that's good. I'm a huge anime fan. Fantastic characters, excellent writing by... Oh, I already read that. R.A. Salvatore did a few series, and they're quite good. Yes, he did some D&D stuff. Drix... Oh, no, Dritzt. The... Huh? Yeah, the Dark Elf. See, what would I do without you? I can't even use words properly. I'm still waiting for a free run breakdown. It's such a good story. I've considered doing some stories, talking about the stories of, like, games and anime and such on the Black Dragon Tavern backstory channel, because I don't have anything up there right now. But I'd considered it. But we have so many other videos. I don't know how I would. I don't know where or how I would find the time. But I love Free Run. Free Run Beyond Journey's End is one of the best bits of modern fiction that's been written. I love it a lot. Sword Art Online did that as well. Sword Art Online wasn't quite as bad as Attack on Titan, and I really liked the world of Sword Art Online. A lot of people don't like Sword Art Online because the main character is a bit of a cliche, but I liked it. I liked it well enough. I finished the Gentleman Bastard series so far as it's written. Can merely recommend Ocean's 11 meets Assassin's Creed in Renaissance Venice, built by alien precursors. That's a hell of a description, Cook. That sounds fascinating. I've heard of the Gentleman Bastard series, but I've never read it. It's a wonderful recommendation. That would be awesome. Where is the backstory channel at YouTube or SAO is awesome? Yes, so I have, if you go over to the main Tavern YouTube page, there are a bunch of recommended channels on the main page. Those are all channels that I own that are, at one point, were going to be used for something. We just haven't had time to utilize them. But it'll say BDT Backstory is... and I had set that up for doing more modern storytelling, because most of what we do on main Black Dragon Tavern is like history and myth and fiction and things. So like a little bit more what people would, I guess, consider highbrow storytelling. The original redeemed row, that means every DM has to force the player to read the Halfling's Gem before they're allowed to play a good draw. That's hilarious, and I agree, Coke. I prefer anime like Inuyasha, action, romance, comedy. Character growth are very well balanced. Inuyasha is a good classic. I like, the lady and I both are huge fans of Trigun, and then the creator of Trigun actually made a really good battle anime that came out a few years ago called Blood Blockade Battlefront, and that was very good as well. I like that one quite a bit. Came in and said, oh, hang on. Not D&D, Dragon Quest, I think. Dritz Erden, Dragonlance. It might be. I thought Dritz was... I thought Dritz was D&D. I could be wrong, I don't know. My husband has a complete collection of the Gar series. It is packed away. I have no idea where it is, but it's in the house somewhere. Doesn't that tend to be how a lot of our beloved collectibles end up being tossed away somewhere? Dritz is Forgotten Realms. Well, Forgotten Realms is a sub thing of D&D, isn't it? Or am I wrong there? In my brain, Forgotten Realms was an extension of Dungeons and Dragons. I could be wrong, but that's what I thought. Forgotten Realms, so baseline D&D. Okay. It takes a couple of episodes to really get into... What are we talking about? Yeah, Inuyasha has a very slow start. It's a very 90s anime. But once you get into it, it's sort of like Rurouni Kenshin, right? Like Rurouni Kenshin takes a little bit of time to pick up. Because these were 90s animes, there was no competition, and kids would watch anything that had a lot of color and was flashy, right? So a lot of these things were put out in children's television slots. And Inuyasha and ones like Trigun and Rurouni Kenshin were very, very slow to start. But once you get through a few of them, they're pretty good. Ajax, hello! I just saw your 300 video, gained a follower. Well, thank you, Ajax. I appreciate you welcoming. I am Castle. This is my tavern. Here we talk about myth and lore and tales of yore. Every now and again, I read you all a story, which is what we're supposed to be doing right now. Well, we got into talking about different stories and whatnot. I'm glad you enjoyed the 300 story. It was a fun one for me as well. And welcome in. You've marked us on your map now. You should be able to find your way back to this tavern at the end of the world. where all stories eventually come to rest the next time you seek a story. And we're glad to have you. Yes, Forgotten Realms is D&D. Okay, that's what I thought. I know it's not like strictly D&D, but it's an extension of D&D. I hope there is an there are a couple, but there are a couple that we could use, but nothing that is remotely to the capabilities of Discord. Like, there's nothing that we could have all of the different community things in, and even Discord is only half the functionality of Guilded. So I don't know what's gonna. I don't know what's gonna. I know that you don't have to upload. You don't have to upload ID. You'll just be put onto the 14 and under settings, so it shouldn't kick you out of the guild once all of that passes, at least to the best of my knowledge. Onyx Salvatore even writes for Star Wars. He might have done both Warhammer, D&D, Dragonlance. It's possible. It is entirely possible. Rurouni Kenshin is... yeah.
Do you need to pee? Do you need to go park?
No, I think he's just dripping water everywhere. Oh, he probably threw up then. Hang on a second, guys. I'll be right back. I like Fruits Baskets and Chobits. Yeah, those are like the classic girl animes, right? Fruits Baskets had a really good story. There was one was really popular. Chobits I'm not as familiar with, so somebody would have to tell me whether or not that one was any good. Huh? Robot Girlfriend. That's hilarious. Any story about Sparta or Greece is always a plus for me, as my lady was born in Greece. Well, wonderful. So, Matty, you got another gentleman who fancies the Greek ladies. I was just about to ask if we're still going to read. Yes, we are still going to read. It's going to be quick. It's only 10 pages this chapter, but we're going to do one chapter tonight. What chapter are we on, by the way? It's a wonderful question, Shadow.
Oh, by the way, story. That kind of serious about.
Yeah.
It's based on
28. We're on chapter 28.
two people from different worlds.
Two people from different worlds. So,
One is inspired by American fantasy mythology, and the other one Japanese, and they have to like switch their roles.
I see. Okay, so that's why I couldn't pin it down, because I was like, this looks like the prototypical like Asian aesthetic. It's got like the Asian school uniform. I don't remember what this bit is called, but it's typically used in like shrine maidens and archery and like traditional crafts and things. And then he's got a calligraphy brush. Good night, Milu. If you do end up going to sleep, I'll get to reading here in just a second. No, so we removed the age restriction on Discord because it was giving everybody problems, Bethany. Now we're just being more careful with how we vet folks who come in, rather than having the age restriction on because of the whole documents thing on Discord. We changed that setting specifically because of that. Late 90s, early 2000s, Ade Salvatore, Michael Stackpole, Blaine, Pardo, several others were the expanded universe guys, whether it was Star Wars, D&D, BattleTech, or what. That makes sense, because a lot of those books all have like a very similar vibe to them, so that checks out. Oh, sorry. What? Oh, was it behind? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay. So this bit here, this is like a traditional lower garb for like archery and for like shrine maidens and whatnot, and then he's got the typical Japanese or Asian school uniform on. And then he's got a traditional calligraphy brush. And these are used all throughout Asia. They vary differently between Japan, Korea, and China, but they're mostly the same, like they're very similar. So I couldn't pin it. But apparently one of them is from a Korean-based world, and the other one is from a Japanese-based world. So that's very interesting. Yeah, it does. It has to have my face in the back. Yeah. So you can see his uniform. This is like a Japanese or Japanese or Korean. I've seen them in both Japanese and Korean works where they wear school uniforms like this. It's primarily Japanese though, I think. And then this is very traditional in, and again, these are very similar. They're similar in Korea, Japan, and China. There's differences, but they're similar. And then he's carrying a calligraphy brush, which again, these are used in Japan, China, and Korea, and they do have minor variations in the way that they look, but they're all very similar. Crystal, hello, good to see you. Chobits was so funny. They got away with a lot. 90s anime got away with a lot of stuff they shouldn't have gotten away with. 90s anime was very, very much pushing the line, as it were. Yeah, what the heck? No, it's just, you're right. It's just, what is going on, dude? All right. I'll read one chapter and get on. All right, friends. I think we're probably gonna need to run ads on yeah. Well, so we're gonna do 3 more minutes of ads on. Oh well, hang on. We just got another raid. What the heck? Hang on. Crystal, thank you for the stars over on Facebook. I appreciate you. Nitso raiding in. What? Nitso, hello, my friend. Let's get you a shout out. Yeah. I mean, he drops in the background every now and again, but I haven't seen him in forever. How's it going, mate? Playing Dark Souls Remastered, a man after my own heart. We love the Dark Souls in this tavern. Let's get you a toot on the raid horn. Appreciate you for bringing your friends into the tavern. For everyone who is new here, I am Castle, this is my tavern. Here we talk about myth and lore and tales of yore, and every now and again I read you a story, which is what we're doing tonight. Let's get you a toot on this raid horn, though. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Little bit of Viking raspberry for your arrival. Welcome in, my friend. Jared Rain, hello. And Texas Crazy White Boy, welcoming over on TikTok. So, very glad you could join us. Kirk, thank you for the stars, my friend. Enjoy your Dragonfire mead. Nope, there is no reed in the center. This is the leather strap for holding it. There's no reed. It's just made out of. This is soft ox horn, and then the rest is just it's made from horn. You have to purse your lips. See, hang on, there we go. It's just a hole. You have to purse your lips to blow the raid horn. Esther, hello, it's good to see you. Viking raspberries, indeed. I didn't like Dark Souls, did like Elden Ring and weird like that. A lot of people, like, Dark Souls is very hard. And there's not a lot of direction on where to go. Elden Ring was a vast improvement structurally over Elden Ring. I'm one of the people who spent a long time going through all the Dark Souls games back in the day, so I have a nostalgia for them. But Elden Ring overall is the more superior game, even though I will always have a place in my heart for Dark Souls. The good Draugo, hello, I've joined your fan club for 2 years, thank you kindly. I hope the lovely lady is okay. She is doing quite well. She's sitting across from me working on a project, which is why you all are having to deal with my ugly mug tonight instead of her. And Draugo, thank you for the heart me as well. Tips to the tavern keeper, always appreciated, my friend. And actually, she's right there. She's right there up above you, Rain. She dropped in. She said, "I'm lurking, but I wanted to say hi." And she here, I'll make her say hello, even though she's not working on live tonight. Say hello.
Hello.
See, there she is. She's lovely, and she's still here watching over us all. Oh, that's why the mic is vibrating weird. All of these little things. Oh, I must have punched them off by accident. It's my fault. I accidentally punched the mic earlier as I was moving, and I hit it with my hand. Dark Souls is really good if you hate yourself enough to get through them. Yeah, precisely. That's a good way to put it, Jerry. That's a great way to put it. Hi, sending love to you, girls, says Rain. You haven't missed anything. We're going to be reading one chapter of Harry Potter tonight. We're going to start here presently. We're going to run another 3 minutes of ads, but we got a raid, so I was waiting to say hello to everybody. We're going to have one chapter tonight. It'll be 10 pages, so it'll probably be about 30 to 45 minutes of reading. I finished Dark Souls out of pure cussedness, and then promptly sold it, feeling like I rid myself of a djinn and doomed someone else. Which is a fair way to feel. Our son was pretty much like a trash gamer, right? He liked things like Fortnite and Roblox and Minecraft and games like that. Very simple, like easy games that were more about dopamine than anything else. So I more or less forced him to start playing the Dark Souls games, and now he has platinumed all of the Soulsborne games, all the Dark Souls games, all the Bloodborne. He did Bloodborne, he did Sekiro, he did Elden Ring, and he's done the newer Elden Ring, Night Rain. And it made a point of pride for him. He beat all of them. He platinumed all of them. Udo is the adult supervision of this whole operation. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Rafgarian, for two months, according to games and pop culture, a vampire is capable of controlling the undead minions, charming the victims with promises of passion, and usually bite at the something said. Is it safe to assume that they are essentially necromancers? Yes, I appreciate that you did a sub to ensure that would get read aloud. Absolutely wonderful. Tips of the Tavern Keeper are always appreciated. Thank you kindly, my friend. Usually bite at the neck. Why did that not show up over here? That's so weird. Okay, usually bite at the neck. Very good. Thank you kindly, my friend. Let's see. I enjoy challenging games. I mean, hell, I even played Dishonored and was almost at the end without killing anyone for the good ending before my data got corrupted. See, that's torture right there. Heading out. Have a great evening. Ace, always wonderful to have you. Rest well, and we will see you a bit later on. Unfortunately, I have to go. My dogs need attention. Good night, all. Lord Godric, it was wonderful to have you. I will look forward to seeing you again, and I will work on getting a St. Godric Storytime worked into the rotation. It was wonderful to have you in. Have a good rest of your evening, my friend. I have also played Wulong Fallen Dynasty, which is a Souls-like, rather fun game. That's one that I've been looking at. I haven't really played any games in over a year, but I've been looking at it. I love how you say 1 in 3, 2, 1. Wait, what? What did I say? If you listen carefully, you can probably hear my eldest daughter cursing at Elden Ring as I type this. That's good parenting, that's what that is. Rafgarian, thank you so much, my friend. It's good to see you. That's an interesting emote. I can't see what it is on my screen, but it's interesting. Big fat wheeze. That's funny. Ryan, hello, good evening, my friend. I hope you are doing well tonight. I'm doing quite well. Lost my data for Dishonored and never touched it again. Understandably so. I understand that when things get busy here, your comments might get overlooked, and that's totally understandable. It does happen. Pagan Dragon, thank you for the follow over on Twitch. Welcome in, grab a seat, settle in. We're going to start reading here in just a second. Matthias Merin, thank you for the follow over on TikTok. Mintium, hello, welcome in. John T, good to see you, my friend. In 4 days, the new Resident Evil comes out, and this is the most excited for a game I've been in a bit. I've seen a lot about it, but I haven't played Resident Evil since Resident Evil 5. This has been a long time. Oh, Jared, hello. Well, welcome. Thank you for marking us at a second point on your map. It is appreciated. I'm glad that you could drop in. she's 20 and in the formative stage. The formative stage of parenting is coming to an end. The formative stage of parenting never comes to an end. You need to be pulling pranks and forcing them into uncomfortable situations that will make them grow until the good Lord takes you, or until you playing too much Dark Souls takes you. Whichever comes first, I guess. I finally made the switch to Twitch. Well, I'm glad you made it over. Welcome. Twitch does tend to be a more active chat environment. You'll get to know more of the regulars over there. TikTok, Facebook, and Twitch are the most active of all of the conversations. So, I've been playing all the RE games. I cannot wait for RE9 this Friday. I got the deluxe edition on pre-order. You gotta tell me how it is, and so I look forward to hearing about it. I'm sure that Kitty's gonna play. I haven't played games in years. The last one I played was Destiny. The lady and I, when we started working on the tavern full time last year, I just stopped because we used to do games. We used to have game story streams where we would play a story game and we talk about the story and the lore and all of that. I haven't done it in over a year because I've been working too much. Turning into a very snowy night in Massachusetts, I'm looking out the window. I would love for there to be just snow. I'll be heading over to Twitch as well. Well, Mentium, thank you kindly. We'll look forward to seeing you over there. I think I'm saying your name right. Mentium sounds like it would. Mintium sounds correct to me. But if I am wrong, you're welcome to correct me. Alright, friends, real quick, we're going to do 3 minutes of ads on Twitch so that I can get a full hour, and then we're going to start reading, okay? We're going to get a full hour of uninterrupted reading. So if you do not have Turbo or a sub, you're going to have to sit through the 3 minutes. But it'll give us an hour without them. I appreciate any of you who are willing to sit through it. It's something that Twitch makes us do, so I apologize. Do I need to unsub and resub to see my comments, Castle? I've been trying to give you a compliment. I love how you say 1 in 3, 2, 1. Oh, in the Viking Raspberries. I did see that. I read it and I wasn't sure what you said. So in the Viking Raspberry, 3, 2, 1. Oh, I see. Well, thank you, Bethany. I'm glad that you enjoyed. No, I did read it out loud and then I got distracted by another comment, so I apologize for that. But yes, I did get it. Now back over here. All right. We're gonna run 3 minutes and then we'll be right back. Well, obviously I'll still be chatting with everyone else. But the Twitch makes us run these silly and ridiculously long ads in order for... because otherwise they put on pre-rolls, and sometimes the pre-rolls will last... Usually they're only about 90 seconds, but I've had folk tell me that they've been stuck in a 15-minute ad on Twitch, which is insane. I'd hate for that to happen. Resident Evil 9 is the most excited I've been for a game in a long time. I was a huge fan of Resident Evil back in the day. Like, I even enjoyed, to a certain degree, not as a faithful adaptation, but just the ambiance of it. Because it was the early era of live-action adaptations. I really liked the first Resident Evil film with Mila Jovovich in it. The first 3 were okay, and then after the third one, they got ridiculous. But the first one was probably my favorite of the lot. But I have not played. We had a friend who's from England, who he had one of his regulars kept getting stuck in hour-long pre-rolls, which is insane for an unskippable ad. And it happens on YouTube as well, so it is not really surprising. These platforms do not have their shit together, as it were. 15 minutes of ads sounds like something for that Finnish hell we were talking about earlier. I think even Tuonela would be like that. No, that's too much. We can't torture them like that. I love all those movies, as cheesy as they are. I have them all over on DVD multiple times over. See, and that's the thing. It's like when a film series becomes self-aware, and it just gives the fans what they want. Like the Monster Hunter film was pretty good. I don't think it was faithful, and I don't think it was great, but it was pretty good. I'd say it was like an average movie. It's probably like a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10. It was an average film. And then, the Resident Evil films get progressively more ridiculous. And it's like we said this before, it's like the Fast and the Furious movies, right? Like after the third one, like they're not serious films anymore. They've kind of just become a caricature of what they used to be, and now they're these just grandiose, insane blockbuster films, and they're fun. They're fun. Like they're not great films. Like they're not going to go down in history, remembered as some of the greatest films of all time. But they have their charm to them. They have a certain amount of whimsy about them. The amount of mileage I've gotten from "you're all going to die down here" is kind of ridiculous. It's fair enough, especially if you're a DM. If you're a DM, you can use that line all the time. You just throw the whole party into a hole, and then have somebody whisper, "You're all going to die down here." It's great. It's wonderful. Spectacular line. All right, my friends, we are going to be reading from. Well, hang on. Let me adjust my. Let me adjust this real quick. Get boop. And then we're going to get. Aha! Now everyone will know what we are reading. No more secrets. Okay, we are reading Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. And we are on chapter 28. This is a short chapter, at least in contrast. Some of the chapters in this book have been like 22, 23 pages long, which is very long for Rowling. Rowling does not write particularly long chapters. The chapters are usually pretty short. I like the Expendables, and to a lesser degree, I like the first John Wick film. I feel like the John Wick films got a little bit ridiculous after the second one, but the first one was really good. The first one was genuinely good as far as film goes. Tokyo Drip, hello and welcome. Tokyo Drip is solid. Hello, welcome in. So very glad you could join us. And now I'm back over here. Well, welcome back, my friend. Good to see you, Jared. If you're in the right headspace, they are the best for your soul. Yeah, the Expendables films are another one of those ones. They're like cheesy action fantasy, right? They remind me of like the Jean-Claude, and that's what they're supposed to do. They remind me of old Jean-Claude Van Damme and Chuck Norris and Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. Like they are the things. Mintium, hello. Tokyo Drip is why Tokyo Drip? That is a fascinating choice. I have to know the reasoning behind it. What is the story behind Tokyo Drip as a screen name? Sean Woodard, hello and welcome in. So very glad you could join us. Why TikTok keeps trying to boot me off? Hang on. They explained too much. I do agree that there's a lot of telling where there could be showing in John Wick. I think that the action sequences make up for that, because then they go on to show pretty substantially. And if they didn't do those telling moments, there wouldn't really be any room for conversation at all in John Wick, just because of how it's structured. But yeah, the second one got to be a little bit. It became too fantasy for me at that point, right? Like this underworld cabal almost became like. It almost became like Dungeons and Dragons, you know, with how fantasy it was. But I really did like the first one, and they could have had a really interesting world, but they just leaned too much into the ridiculous side of the fantasy aspect of it, and it just got to be a little bit weird for me. I keep thinking, is Toretto because I went to Japan once, but never been to Tokyo, just Osaka. Plus, I wanted a fun streaming day. Oh, well, there you go. That's fine. That's perfectly acceptable. Speaking of John Wick, the game trailer looks amazing. I haven't seen the game trailer. My top dog fantasy movie, The Last Witch Hunter. The Last Witch Hunter, that was the one with Vin Diesel, yes? Is it the Vin Diesel one, or is it the Nicolas Cage one? I think it's I think that's the Vin Diesel one. If so, I liked both of them, but the Vin Diesel one was pretty good. Speaking cheese, I am still grateful to you, Castle, for the recommendation to watch The Forbidden Kingdom. Forbidden Kingdom is one of my favorite cheesy action films. Rough Guardian, sorry, thank you for the bits, my friend. I didn't see those come in, but thank you kindly. I don't get a notification when you use the combos, but thank you kindly for that. I appreciate you. Yeah, I love Forbidden Kingdom. Forbidden Kingdom is one of my all-time favorite films. What about Warhammer 40k? I love Warhammer 40k. I've actually, quite a few patrons have been trying to convince me to do Warhammer 40k lore videos. Because I love Warhammer 40k and I would love to tell more of the stories. But we don't do a whole lot of more modern fiction. A lot of the fiction we talk about is older stuff, like Tolkien and Lewis and older fiction stories. But you know what? I'm not mad about it. The Vin Diesel one? Yeah, the Vin Diesel one was pretty good. I feel like Vin Diesel very much got washed over for good films, because he is a pretty decent actor by the Fast and Furious films. Because if you watch like Pitch Black is a very good series overall. I like the Riddick series. That's one of the ones that it did get to be a little bit ridiculous, but I still liked it. I enjoyed it. It's not great, but I still enjoyed it. But yeah, I love Warhammer 40k. The sommelier scene was a classic, though. My armorers, at the end of my military career, really leaned into that. Yeah. For me, a movie that's not popular that I love is Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunter. Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters is a perfect kind of camp, and it's the only one of those like subversive Grimm's fairy tale fantasy ones that I really liked. Because you had the gosh, what was it? You had like the Snow White and the Huntsman one, which had like Chris Hemsworth and what's her name from Twilight? No, Jennifer Lawrence is somebody else, I think. It's Kristen Stewart. Thank you. And that one I like a lot about it, but the whole turning Snow White into a revolutionary thing is just weird. It's just weird. Lore on Harlequins, you know what? I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would not be opposed to it, Jessica. Careful, His Imperial Majesty James's workshop is about as vicious as IP defense gets. If fair enough. But yeah, I really liked I liked the Grimm's Brothers film that had gosh, what are they, what's his name? My brain is failing me right now. He played the Joker. What was it? Oh, Knight's Tale. Heath Ledger, thank you. Why is my brain not working? Heath Ledger and Matt Damon. I actually really liked that film quite a bit. And I did like Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters. Now, obviously, it's not in line with the Hansel and Gretel story at all, but yeah, I thought it was fun. Yeah. Yes, Matt Damon and Heath Ledger. Yes, Kristen Stewart. Kristen Stewart is probably I don't. Her career is strange to me. She's had a couple of like decent films, and then a whole lot of stinkers. It's late in brain to probably. So let's read, friends. All right, everybody, settle in. Grab your seats. For all of you who are new or who just showed up, Hannah, hello. Good to see you. Called me just before I looked down. I have to finish painting my figures. The death jester is gonna be so metal. All right. So for those of you who are new or who have not been in before, I am Castle. This is my tavern. I run it with my lovely wife Una, and we are a tavern at the end of the world where all stories eventually come to rest. Here we talk about myth and lore and tales of yore. Every now and again I read you a story, which is what we are doing tonight. We do these live story times Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, unless something comes up. So tonight I will be reading to you from Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. All the books that we read are voted on by the community. I pick none of them. You all decide what we read, and then I read them to you. That is how it works. Uh, Uncle Scooby, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for the 3 months. Tips to the Tavern Keeper, always appreciated. Have anyone ever encountered a book series where it starts with one book, splits into 2 or more timelines, with the book for each timeline and the entire series concluded into a single book? I don't know about concluding into a single book, but this series does that to a degree, where it starts out as one book and then splits off into multiple books, all in the same universe and series. Starting with the Rift War saga by Raymond E. Feist. This is the one we read on Tuesdays. When I can't stay, I have to work in a few hours and need sleep. See you next time, Castle. Have a good story time. Thank you, Jared. It's good to see you, my friend. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we'll see you back, probably on Tuesday. So rest well, and we'll see you then. Hey, I've not seen you in so long, Andrew. Well, I'm glad that you made it in. We're reading tonight, so if you have time to stick around, go ahead and grab your seat and settle in. I'm going to read one chapter. It's only going to be about 30-45 minutes of story time, but we missed on Thursday because of technical issues, so I wanted to get at least one chapter in. The lady is doing well. She's actually working on a project across from me, which is why she's not on tonight, because she has more important business to do, so I am filling in for her this fine evening. She's a serious business lady who does businessy things. Yeah. C.S. Lewis did The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Correct. Although my favorite work by C.S. Lewis is the Screwtape Letters. I've said this before. Actually, I don't know if I have my copy of Screwtape Letters. I think I do. Go ahead. No, I don't. What did I do with it? No, I do. It's right here. I need to read, but here I am distracting myself again. This is my favorite work by C.S. Lewis, and it is overwhelmingly and devastatingly clever. And Terry Brooks did the Shannara series. I've not read the Shannara series, but I believe the lady has, and I think she said that it was very good. She enjoyed it quite a lot. This is my favorite work by C.S. Lewis, and it's essentially a series of letters between a fallen angel and a demon talking about human nature. And it is sort of the encompassment of all of the conversations between C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien as friends, and C.S. Lewis going from being an atheist to being a Christian. This was more or less, at least what he said in interviews, sort of the embodiment of that journey. And it is such a brilliant look at human nature. And you will read through this and you'll be like, wow, this is a thing that still happens today. And it's brilliantly put into this bit of satire. And I love it so much. This is one of my favorite things ever written. And I really, really like... Oh, it will be back. Yeah, it's going to be backwards on TikTok because the camera's flipped. But yeah, C.S. Lewis, the Screwtape Letters. Even and it has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with religious anything. But it is a brilliant read, and especially if you like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It's a brilliant bit of satire. I always recommend it. I have no clue why you happen to be on my For You page, but I'm glad you popped up. It's been too long. Well, Alana, I'm very glad that you could make it in. We are doing story time tonight, so if you want to grab a seat and settle in, please do so. Your increasingly ravenous Uncle Screwtape, diabolical and hysterical. Yeah, it's so good. Screwtape Letters is so good. I was answering a question about timelines asked by another page. Oh, I didn't see it, Douglas, but I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Alright. Alright, let's get into it. So we are on chapter 28. of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. The Missing Mirror. Wet the whistle real quick. I absolutely will be staying. Well, we're glad to have you, Lorna. And if you haven't marked this on the map, it's a good time to do so, so you can find your way back. But I think you have, because I believe I've seen you in before. It's been a while, but I do believe I've seen you in before. And if you enjoy the story times, we put out a new short story time every single day, most days. Some days we miss if something happens, but otherwise, almost every single day. All right, settle in, friends. Here we go. Harry's feet touched road. He saw the achingly familiar Hogsmeade High Street, dark shop fronts, and the outline of black mountains beyond the village, and the curve of the road ahead that led off towards Hogwarts, and light spilling from the windows of the three broomsticks, and with the lurch of the heart he remembered, with piercing accuracy, how he had landed here nearly a year before, supporting a desperately weak Dumbledore. All this in a second upon landing. And then, even as he relaxed his grip upon Ron's and Hermione's arms, it happened. The air was rent by a scream that sounded like Voldemort's when he had realized the cup had been stolen. It tore at every nerve in Harry's body, and he knew immediately that their appearance had caused it. Even if he looked at the other two beneath the cloak, the door of the three broomsticks burst open, and a dozen cloaked and hooded Death Eaters dashed into the street with their wands aloft. Yes, I have been in, it's just been a while. The algorithm gods do tend to do that. They love to force us all apart, and then eventually we all find our way back into the tavern. It's always wonderful, though. When the tavern calls to you, all you have to do is answer, and you will be welcomed back for the story. Your seat's still here, as you can see. Okay, this is not the right music for what we've got going on right now. Hang on. Also not the right... Alright, hang on. Alright, that's better. Should be better anyways. Harry seized Ron's wrist as he raised his wand. There were too many of them to stun, and even attempting it would give away their position. One of the Death Eaters... Completely lost my place. One of the Death Eaters waved his wand with a scream, and the scream stopped, still echoing around the distant mountains. Accio cloak! Roared the Death Eater. Harry seized its folds, but it made no attempt to escape. The summoning charm had not worked on it. Not under your wrapper then, Potter! Yelled the Death Eater, who had tried the charm, and then his fellows... Spread out! He's here! The 6 Death Eaters ran towards them. Harry, Ron, and Hermione backed away as quickly as possible down the nearest side street. The Death Eaters missed them by inches. Just a second, friends. They waited in the darkness, listening to the footsteps running up and down, beams of light flying across the street from the Death Eaters' searching wands. Let's just leave, Hermione whispered. Disapparate, no. Great idea, said Ron, but before Harry could reply, a Death Eater shouted. We know you're here, Potter! And there's no getting away! We'll find you! They were ready for us, whispered Harry. They set up that spell to tell them we'd come. I reckon they've done something to keep us here. Trap us. What about the Dementors? Called another Death Eater. Let them have free reign. They'd find him quick enough. Dark Lord wants Potter dead by no hands but his. And the Dementors won't kill him. The Dark Lord wants Potter's life, not his soul. It'd be easier to kill after he's been kissed. There were noises of agreement, and dread filled Harry. To repel Dementors, he would have to produce Patronuses, from which would give away their location immediately. Going to have to try to disapparate, Harry, Hermione whispered. Even as she said it, he felt an unnatural cold begin to steal over the street. Light was being sucked from the environment, right up to the stars, which vanished. In the pitch blackness, he felt Hermione take hold of his arm, and together they turned on the spot. The air through which they needed to move seemed to have become more solid. They could not disapparate. The Death Eaters had cast their charms well. The cold was biting deeper and deeper into Harry's flesh. He, Ron, and Hermione retreated down the side street, groping their way along the wall, trying not to make a sound. Then, around the corner, gliding noiselessly, came Dementors. 10 or more of them visible because they were of a denser darkness than their surroundings. With their black cloaks and their scabbed and rotting hands. Could they sense fear in the vicinity? Harry was sure of it. They seemed to be coming more quickly now, taking those dragging, rattling breaths he detested, tasting despair on the air, closing in. He raised his wand. He could not, would not suffer a Dementor's kiss. Everything that happened, whatever happened afterward, it was Ron and Hermione that he thought as he whispered, Expecto Patronum. The Silver Stag burst from his wand and charged. The Dementors scattered, and there was a triumphant yell from somewhere out of sight. It's him! Down there! Down there! I saw his Patronus! It was a stag! The Dementors had retreated, and the stars were popping out again, and the footsteps of the Death Eaters were becoming louder. But before Harry, in his panic, could decide what to do, there was a grinding of bolts nearby. A door opened on the left-hand side of a narrow street, and a rough voice said, Potter! In here, quick! He obeyed without hesitation, and the three of them hurtled through the open doorway. Upstairs! Keep the cloak on! Keep quiet! Muttered the tall figure, passing them on his way into the street and slamming the door behind him. Harry had no idea where they were, but now he saw, by stuttering light of a single candle, the grubby, sawdust-strewn bar of the Hog's Head. They ran behind the counter and through the second doorway, which led to a rickety wooden staircase that they climbed as fast as they could. The stairs opened onto a sitting room with a threadbare carpet and a small fireplace, above which hung a single large oil painting of a blonde girl who gazed out at the room with a kind of vacant sweetness. Shouts reached them from the street below. Still wearing the invisibility cloak, they crept towards the grimy window and looked down. Their savior, whom Harry had not recognized, he now saw was the Hog's Head barman. And he was the only person not wearing a hood. So what? He was bellowing into one of the hooded faces. So what, you send the Dementors down my street? I'll send the Patronus back at them. I'm not having them near me. I told you that. I'm not having it. That wasn't your Patronus, said a Death Eater. That was a stag. It was Potter's. Stag? Roared the barman, and he pulled out a wand. Stag, you idiot! Expecto Patronum! Something huge and horned erupted from the wand, Head down, it charged towards the high street. That's not what I saw, said the Death Eater, though with less certainty. Curfew's been broken. You heard the noise. One of his companions told the barman. Someone's out in the street against regulations. If I want to put out my cat, I will, and be damned with your curfew. You set off the caterwauling charm. What if I did? You gonna call me off to Azkaban? Kill me for sticking my nose out my own front door? Do it, then, if you want to. But I hope, for your sakes, you've pressed your little dark marks to summon him. He's not going to like being cold here for me and my old cat, is he now? Don't you worry about us, said one of the Death Eaters. Worry about yourself breaking curfew. And where were you lot traffic potions and poisons when my pub's closed down? What happened to your little sideline thing? Are you threatening? I'll keep my mouth shut. It's why you come here, isn't it? I still say I saw a stag Patronus, shouted the first Death Eater. Stag, roared the barman. It's a goat, idiot. All right, we made a mistake, said the second Death Eater. Break curfew again, and we won't be so lenient. The Death Eaters strode back towards the high street. Hermione moaned with relief, wove out from under the cloak and sat down on a wobble-legged chair. Harry drew the curtains tight shut, then pulled the cloak off himself. And Ron. They could hear the barman down below rebolting the door to the bar, then climbing the stairs. Harry's attention was caught by something on the mantelpiece, a small rectangular mirror propped on top of it. Right beneath the portrait of the girl, the barman entered the room. You bloody fools, he said gruffly, looking from one of them to the other. What were you thinking coming here? Thank you, said Harry. We can't thank you enough. You saved our lives. The barman grunted. Harry approached him, looking up into his face, trying to see past the long, stringy, wire grey hair and beard. He wore spectacles. Behind the dirty lenses, the eyes were a piercing and brilliant blue. It's your eye I've been seeing in the mirror. There was silence. Harry and the barman looked at each other. You sent Dobby. The barman nodded and looked around for the elf. Thought he'd be with you. Where have you left him? He's dead, said Harry. Bellatrix Lestrange killed him. The barman's face was impassive, and after a few moments he said, Sorry to hear it. I like that elf. He turned away, lighting lamps with prods of his wand, not looking at any of them. You're Aberforth, said Harry to the man's back. He neither confirmed nor denied it, but bent to light the fire. How did you get this? He asked, walking across to Sirius's mirror, the twin of the one he had broken nearly 2 years before. Bought it from Dung about a year ago, said Aberforth. Abbas told me what it was. Been trying to keep an eye out for you. He gasped. Ron gasped. The silver doe, he said excitedly. Was that you too? What are you talking about? Said Aberforth. Someone sent a doe Patronus to us. Brains like that, you could be a Death Eater, son. Haven't I just proven my Patronus is a goat? Oh, said Ron. Yeah, well, I'm hungry, he said defensively as his stomach gave an enormous rumble. Candy Waldrop, thank you for the heart me over on TikTok. Tips to the Tavern Keeper are always appreciated. Thank you kindly. Did I miss anything? Oh, sorry, Castle. I've been quite busy lately. Just listening. That's all right, Esther. Do what you need to do. You know that the tavern is more than happy to just have you come and relax. Fortunately, what I desire to do is a feeling of duty is a fact. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night, and joy be with you all. Cook, have yourself a wonderful rest of your evening, my friend. Thank you kindly for your generosity tonight, and I hope that you rest well and you rise tomorrow ready to conquer the damned day. And you have a good rest of your weekend evening, and that your week is a successful one. Have yourself a wonderful night. I got food, said Aberforth, and he sloped out of the room. Sloped out of the room, reappearing moments later with a large loaf of bread, some cheese, and a pewter jug of mead, which he set upon a small table in front of the fire. Ravenous, they ate and drank, and for a while there was silence. But for the crackle of the fire, the clink of goblets, and the sound of chewing. Right then, said Aberforth, when they had eaten their fill, and Harry and Ron sat slumped dozily in their chairs. We need to think of the best way to get you out of here. Can't be by night. You heard what happens if anyone moves outdoors during darkness. Caterwall and Charm set off. They'll be on to you like bowtruckles on doxy eggs. I don't reckon I'll be able to pass you off as a stag a second time. Wait for the daybreak, when curfew lifts. Then you can put on your cloak and set out on foot. Get right out of Hogsmeade up into the mountains, and you'll be able to disapparate there. Might see Hagrid. He's been hiding in a cave up there with Grot ever since they tried to arrest him. We're not leaving, said Harry. We need to get into Hogwarts. Don't be stupid, boy, said Aberforth. We've got to, said Harry. What you've got to do, said Aberforth, leaning forward, is get as far from here as you can. You don't understand. There isn't much time. We've got to get into the castle. Dumbledore, your brother wanted us. The firelight made the grimy lenses of Aberforth's glasses momentarily opaque. A bright, flat white, and Harry remembered the blind eyes of the giant spider Aragog. My brother Albus wanted a lot of things, said Aberforth. And people had a habit of getting hurt while he was carrying out his grand plans. You get away from the school, Potter, and out of this country if you can. Forget my brother and his clever schemes. He's gone where none of this can hurt him, and you don't owe him anything. You don't understand, said Harry again. I don't know, said Aberforth quietly. You don't think I understand my own brother? Think you knew Albus better than I did? I didn't mean that, said Harry, whose brain felt sluggish with exhaustion, and from the surfeit of food and wine. He left me a job. Did he now? Said Aberforth. Nice job, I hope. Pleasant, easy. Sort of thing you'd expect an unqualified wizard kid should be able to do without overstretching themselves. Ron gave a rather grim laugh, and Hermione was looking strained. It's not easy, no. But I've got to. Got to? Why got to? He's dead, isn't he? Said Aberforth roughly. Let it go, boy. Before you follow him. Save yourself. Can't. Why not? Harry felt overwhelmed. He could not explain. So he took the offensive instead. But you're fighting too. You're in the Order of the Phoenix. I was, said Aberforth. The Order of the Phoenix is finished. You know who's won. It's over. And anyone who's pretending different is kidding themselves. It'll never be safe for you here, Potter. He wants you too badly. So go abroad. Go into hiding. Save yourself. Best take these two with you. He jerked a thumb at Ron and Hermione. They'll be in danger as long as they live now. Everyone knows they've been working with you. I can't, said Harry. I've got a job. Give it to someone else. Can't. It's got to be me. Dumbledore explained it all. Oh, did he now? Did he tell you everything? Was he being honest with you? Harry wanted with all his heart to say yes. But somehow the simple word would not rise to his lips. Aberforth seemed to know what he was thinking. I know my brother, Potter. He learned secrecy at our mother's knee. Secrets and lies. That's how we grew up. And Albus, he was a natural. The old man's eyes travelled to the painting of the girl over the mantelpiece. It was now. Harry looked around properly. The only picture in the room. There was no photograph of Albus Dumbledore, nor anyone else. Mr. Dumbledore, said Hermione rather timidly. Is that your sister, Ariana? Yes, said Aberforth tersely. Been reading Rita Skeeter, have you, Missy? Even by the rosy light of the fire, it was clear that Hermione had turned red. A fire stowage mentioned it to us, said Harry, trying to spare Hermione. That old Burke, muttered Aberforth, taking another swig of his mead. Thought the sun showed out my brother's every orifice, he did. Well, so did plenty of people. You three included by the looks of it. Harry kept quiet. He did not want to express the doubts and uncertainties about Dumbledore that had riddled him for months now. He had made his choice. While he dug Dobby's grave, he decided to continue along the winding and dangerous path indicated for him by Albus Dumbledore, to accept that he had been told everything that he wanted to know. That he had not been told everything that he had wanted to know, but simply to trust. He had no desire to doubt again. He did not want to hear anything that would deflect him from his purpose. He met Aberforth's gaze, which was so strikingly like his brother's. The bright blue eyes gave the same impression that they were X-raying the object of their scrutiny, and Harry thought that Aberforth knew what he was thinking and despised him for it. Professor Dumbledore cared about Harry very much, said Hermione in a low voice. Did he now? Said Aberforth. Funny thing, how many people my brother cared about very much ended up in a worse state than if he'd left them well alone. What do you mean? Said Hermione breathlessly. Never you mind, said Aberforth. But that's a really serious thing to say, said Hermione. Are you talking about your sister? Aberforth glared at her. His lips moved as if he were chewing the words he were holding back, and then he burst into a speech. When my sister was 6 years old, she was attacked, set upon by 3 Muggle boys. They'd seen her doing magic, spying through the back garden hedge. She was a kid. She couldn't control it. No witch or wizard can at that age. What they saw scared them, I expect. They forced their way through the hedge, and when she couldn't show them the trick, they got a bit carried away, trying to stop the little prig doing it. Destroyed her. What they did. She was never right again. She wouldn't use magic, but she couldn't get rid of it. It turned inward and drove her mad. It exploded out of her when she couldn't control it, and at times she was strange and dangerous, but mostly she was sweet and scared and harmless. My father went after the bastards that did it, said Aberforth, and attacked them.
They locked him up in Azkaban for it. He never said why he'd done it, because if the Ministry had known that Ariana had become... She'd have been locked up in St. Mungo's for good. They'd have seen her as a serious threat to the international statute of secrecy. Unbalanced like she was, with magic exploding out of her at moments. She couldn't keep it any longer. We had to keep her safe and quiet. We moved house. Put it about she was ill. My mother looked after her, tried to keep her calm and happy. I was her favorite,
he said. And as he said it, a grubby schoolboy seemed to look out through Aberforth's wrinkles and tangled beard.
Not Elvis. He was always up in his bedroom when he was home, reading his books, counting his prizes, keeping up his correspondence with his most notable magical names of the day,
said Aberforth, sneering.
He didn't want to be bothered with her. She liked me best. I couldn't get her to eat, and she wouldn't do it for my mother. Couldn't get her to calm down when she was in one of those rages. And when she was quiet, she used to help me feed the goats. Then, when she was 14, see, I wasn't there, said Aberforth. If I'd been there, could have calmed her down. She had one of her rages, and my mother wasn't as young as she was. And it was an accident. Ariana couldn't control it, but my mother was killed.
Harry felt a horrible mixture of pity and repulsion. He did not want to hear any more, but Aberforth kept talking. Harry wondered how long it had been since he had spoken about this, whether in fact he'd ever spoken about it.
So that put paid to Albus's trip around the world with that little doge. A pair of them came home for my mother's funeral, and then Doge went off on his own, and Albus settled down as head of the family. Ha!
Aberforth spat into the fire.
I'd have looked after her. I told him so. I didn't care about school. I'd have stayed home and done it. He told me I had to finish my education. He'd take over from my mother. Bit of a come down for Mr. Brilliant. There's no prizes for looking after your half-mad sister. Stopping her blowing up the house every other day. But he did all right for a few weeks. Till he came.
And now a positively dangerous look crept over Aberforth's face.
Grindelwald. And at last my brother had an equal to talk to. Someone just as bright and as talented as he was. And looking after Ariana took a backseat then, while they were hatching their plans for a new visiting order, and looking for Hallows, and whatever else it was they were so interested in. Grand plans for the benefit of all wizard kind. And if one girl had got neglected, what did that matter? When Albus was working for the greater good. But after a few weeks of it, I'd had enough. It was nearly time for me to go back to Hogwarts. And so I told them, both of them, face to face. I'd like I am to you now.
And Aberforth looked down at Harry, and with a look, and it took little imagination to see him as a teenager, wiry and angry, confronting his elder brother.
I told him, you'd better give it up now. You can't move her. She's in no fit state. You can't take her with you. Wherever it is you're planning to go. When you're making your clever speeches, trying to whip yourself up a following. He didn't like that.
And Aberforth and his eyes were briefly occluded by the firelight in the lenses of his eyes. They shone white and blind again.
Grindelwald didn't like that at all. He got angry. Told me a stupid little boy was trying to stand in the way of him and my brilliant brother. I did understand. My poor sister wouldn't have to be hidden once they changed the world and led wizards out of hiding, taught muggles their place. And there was an argument. I pulled out my wand, he pulled out his, and I had the Cruciatus curse used on me by my brother's best friend, and Albus was trying to stop him. All three of us were dueling, and the flashing lights and the bangs set her off, and she couldn't stand it. The colour was draining from Aberforth's face as though he had suffered a mortal wound. And I think she wanted to help. She didn't really know what she was doing. I don't know which of us did it. Could have been any of us. She was dead. And his voice broke on that last word, and he dropped down into the nearest chair. Hermione's face was wet with tears, and Ron was almost as pale as Aberforth. Harry felt nothing but revulsion. He wished he'd not heard it, wished he could wash it from his mind, wash it clean. I'm so sorry, Hermione whispered. Gone, croaked Aberforth. Gone forever. He wiped his nose on his cuff and cleared his throat. Of course, Grindelwald's scapegoat. He had a bit of track record already, back in his own country, and he didn't want Ariana to set his account too. And Albus was free, wasn't he? Free of the burden of his sister. Free to become the great wizard of the... He was never free. I beg your pardon, said Aberforth. Never, said Harry. The night that your brother died, he drank a potion that drove him out of his mind. He started screaming and pleading with someone who wasn't there. Don't hurt them, please. Hurt me instead. Ron and Hermione were staring at Harry. He'd never gone into details about what had happened on the island and the lake. The events of that had taken place after he and Dumbledore had returned to Hogwarts, had eclipsed it so thoroughly. He thought he was back there with you and Grindelwald. What is the deal with this sword? Still on walking pneumonia maids, good night all. Good night, John. I'm so glad that you could drop in. It's always wonderful to see you, John Pierre. Thank you for the follow over on TikTok. Welcome into the tavern, my friends. Moser, hello. Did we get raided again? No, we didn't. Okay, I was just making sure. Moser, hello. And Dagos, hello. Welcome in. Sorry, that was my cat. Well, hello to you and hello to your kitty cat. Welcome in. Grab your seats. Settle in. We're in the midst of story time. We're actually almost done. He thought he was back there with you and Grindelwald. I know he did, said Harry, remembering Dumbledore whimpering, pleading. He thought he was watching Grindelwald hurting you and Ariana. It was torture to him. If you'd seen him then, you wouldn't say he was free. Aberforth seemed lost in contemplation. Of his own knotted and veined hands. After a long pause, he said, How can you be sure? How can you be sure, Potter? That my brother wasn't more interested in the greater good than in you? How can you be sure you aren't dispensable? Just like my little sister. Shard of ice seemed to pierce Harry's heart. I don't believe it. Dumbledore loved Harry, said Hermione. Why didn't he tell him to hide then? Shot back Aberforth. Why didn't he say to him, take care of yourself? Here's how to survive.
Because, said Harry before Hermione could answer, sometimes you've got to think about more than your own safety. Sometimes you've got to think about the greater good. This is war.
You're 17, boy!
I'm of age, and I'm going to keep fighting even if you've given up.
Who says I've given up?
The Order of the Phoenix is finished, Harry repeated. You know who's won, it's over. And anyone who's pretending any different is kidding themselves.
I don't say it like that, but it's the truth.
No, it isn't, said Harry. Your brother knew how to finish you know who, and he passed the knowledge on to me. And I'm going to keep going until I succeed, or die. Don't think I don't know how this might end. I've known it for years. He waited for Aberforth to jeer or argue. This island. I've been enjoying listening to you reading. Well, I'm very glad. Night all, I must be off to work tomorrow. Sláinte. Good night, Douglas. Always lovely to see you, my friend. Rest well. The island music there in the background. My dog says hi. Well, tell your dog hello from all of us. Anna. Oh, you know what? Matty cashed it. Everett. 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 I don't even know if Matty is still awake, but he cashed in a kitty cat. Oh dear, hang on. He wanted both of them, but I'm going to just go steal Milo's to go for him. You have to work. Nobody wants to see you. I'm so sleepy. Oh no, so sad. I did remember. Yeah, see, look at how big Milo is. Look how big he is. He's still a kitty cat. He's still just a baby. He's not even a year old yet. He's so massive. Look at him. He's an absolute unit. Look at this big old guy. And he's so sleepy right now. This is Milo, for anyone who's not met him yet. He's our most recent rescue. We got him from a kitten mill. We didn't know it was a kitten mill at the time, but we rescued him from a kitten mill. And he's very sleepy right now. He wants to be sleeping. But look how big he is. Look at how massive his paws are. Look at him. He's an absolute unit. And he's so long and he's so heavy. He's so dense. And he is absolutely not very smart. He's added 0 intelligence to the animals as a unit. He is a battle cat indeed. What a sweet baby he is, yeah. Milo the tiger, he's getting to be as big as a tiger. He's trying to fall asleep on me. I'm gonna let him go here. He'll go be with Mom. Right. Well, discovering Atlantis took most of his brain. Fair enough. I appreciate the Lost City of Atlantis reference there, Matty. Underappreciated animated film. I have to drop off. Adulting starts early. Have a good night. Good night, Shadow Angel. It's always lovely to see you. I hope that we will see you back again on Tuesday. Have a good day at work. And may you rest well. I think we have 1 page left if you want to stick around. I will finish this page right now. We have 1 page left. It'll be about 5 minutes worth of reading. Milo is he's very pretty. He's very handsome. Milo the tiger. Yes, indeed, Esther. Milo's on track to get to the size of my mom's Maine Coon, 2 years old, 20 pounds. I'm hoping he doesn't get to be that heavy, but he's already like an 8-pound cat. He's very dense. And he just keeps growing. He's probably going to get another 2 inches. He's probably going to grow another 2 inches long. And he's going to be huge. It's massive. Massive boy. He waited for Aberforth to jeer or to argue, but he did not. He merely scowled. We need to get into Hogwarts, said Harry again. If you can't help us, we'll wait until daybreak and leave you in peace, and try to find a way in ourselves. If you can help us, well, now's the time. Now would be a great time for you to mention it. Aberforth remained fixed in his chair, gazing at Harry with eyes that were so extraordinarily like his brother's. At last he cleared his throat, got to his feet and walked around the little table and approached the portrait of Ariana.
You know what to do,
he said. She smiled, turned and walked away. Not as people in portraits usually did. Out of the side of their frames, but along what seemed to be a very long tunnel painted behind her. They watched her slight figure retreat until finally she was swallowed by the darkness. What? Began Ron.
There's only one way in now,
said Aberforth.
You must know they've got all the old secret passageways covered at both ends. Dementors all around the boundary walls. Regular patrols inside the school. From what my sources tell me, the place has never been so heavily guarded. How do you expect to do anything once you get inside? Snape in charge, and the Currows as his deputies? Well, that's your lookout, isn't it? You say you're prepared to die.
But what? Said Hermione, frowning at Ariana's picture. A tiny white dot had reappeared at the end of the painted tunnel, and now Ariana was walking back towards them, growing bigger and bigger as she came. But there was somebody else with her now, someone taller than she was, who was limping along looking excited. His hair was longer than Harry had ever seen it. He appeared to have suffered several gashes to his face, and his clothes ripped and torn. Larger and larger the two figures grew, until only their heads and shoulders filled the portrait. Then the whole thing swung forward on the wall like a little door, and the entrance to a real tunnel was revealed. And out of it, his hair overgrown, his face cut, his robes ripped, was revealed. Oh, and out of it, his hair overgrown, his face cut, his robes ripped, clambered the real Neville Longbottom, who gave a roar of delight and leapt down from the mantelpiece and yelled, "I knew you'd come! I knew it, Harry!" And so ends chapter 28 of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. And so adorable. My cat is wondering where the other cat is. Yeah, now Milo is being loud because he got attention and now he wants more attention. The girls, thank you for the follow over on Twitch. You've marked this on your map. You should be able to find your way back the very next time that you seek a story. My boy is part coon and weighs 25 pounds. That's a big cat. Oh, the auto mod grabbed it? Yeah, that's a dangerous one. Oh, come on, we can't stop there. That's where we have to stop for tonight. We're going to have to wait until Thursday for more. Let's see, we are now 75% of the way through. We have how many chapters left? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 chapters left. We have 9 chapters left, and each one is only about 10 pages. So we're going to be going through these probably 2 or 3 chapters at a night, so that we got about 2.5 to 3 weeks left of these. Catchy. Me and Cryptid's auto mods are at war. The auto mod can be a bit of a Bit of a bastard sometimes. So, yeah, that's a hell of a place to end, though. You're right, Uncle Scoopy. If it weren't so late, I would do another chapter, but since we got on so late, I know a lot of folk need to go to bed, and I know that some of the regulars have already gone off to bed. So we can't do any more for tonight. But what I will promise is, because let's see, we're on chapter 29, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 chapters left. We'll for sure be doing 3 chapters next week, because the chapters aren't even that long. Those 3 chapters is only going to be a little more than 20 pages, 24 pages. I didn't like the French language once, and Audemars goes, "Excuse me, that's racist." No, not liking the French language is totally a rational thing to do. Should always not like the French language. Some French is actually really pretty, I'll give that. We've reached the climax of our story. We are very near the climax of this story. And again, like, the chapters are not very long. The next 3 chapters together are only 24 pages. And then, let's see. That one, the chapter after that is 20 pages. And the chapter after that is only 13 pages. So they vary a little bit in length, but for the most part, they're with this one exception, the chapters are only like 10 pages each. So we'll probably, so we'll do 3, and then we'll probably do 2. Yeah, we've only got 3 story times left, and we've only got 1 left for Darkness of Sethanon. So we maybe got another week and a half of Harry Potter before we start planning for the readathon. We'll probably be done the first week of next month. Yeah, we've only got 1 chapter left in Feist. That's all we've got left. We are down to our last little bit. I think we're on Aftermath, which is the final chapter of the book. On Tuesday is going to be the last chapter of A Darkness at Sethanon, and then every story time after that will be Harry Potter until we finish up the book. Bedtime for me too. Thank you for reading to us. All right, Rain. Lovely to have you. Always good to see you. Hope you rest well and that you rise tomorrow ready to conquer the day. And we'll look forward to seeing you back on Tuesday for more story time. Until then, rest well. Why the no, Bethany? Why the distress? Are you sad that we're not going to be in the world of Mid-Kemia anymore? I kind of am too. It's been a long run. We've gone through so many pages of this book. The Magician, and then Magician Master and Apprentice, and then Silverthorn, and now Darkness of Sethanon. I mean, we might end up back in Mid-Kemia again, actually, if you guys want to continue with the books that have to do with Jimmy and Arutha's children. Because there are 2 branching chains of stories that have to do with the various one. French add vowels needlessly, and I feel like I'm having a stroke speaking it sometimes. And then, once we finish both these books, it'll be readathon time, friends. Next Feist is Prince of the Blood. I'm still here, just really tired. That's all right, Hannah. Like I said, it is perfectly acceptable to come to the tavern just to relax. Get a little bit of story time before you head off to bed. Listen to some banter, maybe. But I think that here is where we're going to end for tonight, friends. Let's see, because we're gonna get ads over on Twitch again, and I don't want to run any more ads tonight. So let me see if any of our friends are on for the evening. I don't know if any of them are on. We've got Falcourt and Quincy's Tavern. You guys want to raid Quincy, or do you want to raid Falcourt? We can raid... Quincy's playing a game called Deadlock, and Falcourt is reading. So, you Twitch friends, you decide who we're going to raid. I'm rereading that at the moment. Well, I think we can probably stand to put it on the vote list for the next book, since it's in line. People keep tagging Quincy in my comments saying he and I need to collaborate. I couldn't remember who he was. The lady reminded me who he was. and he just randomly popped up for me on Twitch the other day, and it was as a recommended person, so I popped in and I said hello, and he and I have been chatting off and on here, and we've had a small conversation about potentially doing a collaboration, but it's just funny the way the algorithm gods work. Try to be on for the whole readathon. If I have to, I'll buy these books slowly. I haven't seen Quincy in a while. Yeah, I hadn't seen him since years ago. The wife had to remind me who he was. But he's a nice lad. Fun. Hannah, do you want to go join over on Twitch so we can raid Quincy together? Also, to head off to bed. So glad I caught you tonight. Good night, everyone. Good night, Alana. It was wonderful to see you again. I'm glad that you found us, and I hope that we'll see you in our weekly story or daily story times, and see you on Tuesday. Try to be less of a stranger. Not a stranger, just a long-lost friend, and we're glad that you made it back. Alright, friends, that's going to be all for tonight. We're going to raid our friend Quincy, who is playing Deadlock over on Twitch. For the rest of you who are not on the Twitch portal, this is where we are ending for tonight. And while it is sad that we must part, we will again gather when the doors open and you all seek another story. But until then, my friends, I will bid you all stay bloodthirsty. And we will see you next time. So until then, good night and rest well.